Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Freddy Fazbear box just dropped at Popeyes for $7.99, and it's scary good. Garlic palm tenders and cheesy bites with marinara sauce. Upgrade to the deluxe box with $12.99 and get a 20-ounce drink in a cupcake cup. Dig in before it's too late. Try the Freddy Fazbear Crunch menu, now at Popeyes. See Five Nights at Freddy's 2, only in theaters. Love that chicken from Popeyes. Limited time at participating U.S. restaurants. Prices may vary.
Let the Record Show with Judge Richard Weinberg, Suffolk County Republican Committee Chairman Jesse Garcia, and essayist and commentator Eric Levine on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to Let the Record Show with Chairman Jesse Garcia of the Republican Party. Jesse is the Vice Chair of the New York State Republican Party and the County Chair of the Suffolk County Party. With us is our good friend, co-host, Eric Levine, noted attorney, commentator, and essayist. I'm Judge Richard Weinberg, and today we're delighted to invite back and have with us Senator Dave McCormick of the great state, or actually the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The senator is a graduate of West Point, has a Ph.D. from Princeton, served as Undersecretary of Commerce, Undersecretary of the Treasury, was elected to the Senate, where he serves on the Foreign Affairs Committee, Foreign Affairs, Joint Economic Committee, and Energy. Senator, we're delighted to have you with us. Thank you for joining us.
Mo, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Eric, your turn with the senator.
Dave, welcome. Great to have you back.
Thanks, Eric.
So I'd love to talk to you about artificial intelligence. It's obviously a very important topic. And, we're honored to have someone who actually has actual intelligence who can speak about artificial intelligence.
I don't know about that. My wife would call that into question sometimes. But
well, we'll have her on the show next, so we can ask her about that.
That's what all wives are for, Senator.
All right. Listen, I believe that we are in a moment of such historical significance with the AI revolution and really the energy revolution, because they go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other because the energy demands of AI are so profound. But I think this is the most important thing that's happening in our lifetimes, Eric. I think it's like the Industrial Revolution on steroids. It's going to create unknown, unbelievable breakthroughs in science and curing diseases and nuclear power and advanced manufacturing, unfortunately, and weaponry. And it's a race for leadership that we must win, competing against communist China. And so this is really a rivalry, an adversary that poses a real risk to us, because if we don't have AI leadership in the world, I think we really face significant consequences from that. And I've tried to lead the way by making sure that Pennsylvania is at the point of the spear for America's efforts to do this. And the reason I think we're well positioned is we've got Carnegie Mellon, which is probably the number one university in the country for AI, but we also have enormous energy capability with natural gas, nuclear power plants. We've got a great workforce in the building trades, skilled workers, welders, and pipe fitters and steam fitters to build this energy infrastructure, to build these data centers. And this revolution's happening. Whether we like it or not, and I think the big question for all of us is: are we going to lead, or are we going to follow up behind? Are we going to be the tail that's wagged by the dog? And my argument is America needs to lead, and I think we're making good strides on that with President Trump's leadership and what we're doing in Pennsylvania.
So I couldn't agree with you more that we need to win this fight. And when I think you call it a war, it literally is. It has implications for war and peace. But what do you see as the primary challenges facing the United States in winning the AI race with China?
I think basically our future depends much more on what we do than what they do. In other words, we have the tools, we have the leadership, we have the capability to win. but we kind of have to get out of our own way. So the energy demands are enormous. So we have to have permitting reform that allows us to build the energy capability that's required to support these data centers, but also to make sure that energy prices don't go up. We've got to have an ability to win the war for talent. By that I mean attract the brightest minds from around the world, not just in America, to support this. And obviously, I'm very supportive of our efforts to close the borders of illegal immigration, but at the same time, our success as an innovative country has been based on the fact that we've attracted the brightest minds in the world to work on this incredible technology. And finally, we gotta deal with the very real consequences of this revolution. And it's going to be disruptive. All revolutions are disruptive. Look at the Industrial Revolution. So this is going to risk raising energy prices. We have to deal with that. There's genuine and legitimate concerns about the environmental consequences of having these big data centers in your backyard. And of course, there's the disruption associated with jobs. In Pennsylvania, I think we have a pretty good sense of that. I think it's the AI revolution is likely to create tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of new jobs for skilled workers in terms of building this infrastructure. But I think it's going to be pretty damaging to some white-collar professions. And so we've got to train our kids, our next generation of people, to be able to adapt to the new opportunities that come out in AI. So we can't sell people a bill of goods. This isn't just all good. This is going to be disruptive. And so we need to, the net benefits are extraordinary, but we also have to address the disruption to make sure that the AI revolution helps create opportunity for everybody.
So you made reference to data centers. I don't think people fully appreciate what a data center is in this context. I mean, these standalone huge buildings which contain the AI infrastructure, which require an incredible amount of energy to run. And as I understand how some of these are supposed to be powered, is they're standalone. Some of them want to build modular nuclear, some of them need solar, some of them need fossil fuels. How do we get these data centers up and running? How do we get the energy to the grid generally, or more importantly, specifically, to these data centers?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're right in the description. They create enormous compute power. So the idea is to create a data center that has enormous compute capability, and that supports the AI working across all these different industries. And they're very energy intensive, as you described. So it takes an enormous amount of energy to support them. So the only way that the AI revolution is going to work, where you build all this new data center capability, is that if you have energy infrastructure and transmission capability that's built in tandem. And ideally, what you want to have is dedicated power for every new data center, natural gas or nuclear or some other form of power. And ideally, and this is what's beginning to happen, many of these data centers will come with a power support, a power partner, but that power partner should create more energy than is even required by the data center. So essentially what you'll be able to say to a community is, listen, we're going to show up in your community, we're going to build this big data center, we're going to build out energy infrastructure side by side, we're going to create more power than the energy that's required for the data center. And then on top of that, you're going to get the many thousands of jobs in building the data center and building the energy infrastructure. You're going to get the permanent jobs that are created in running them. But then these data centers, Eric, the thing most people don't understand is every 4 years, the compute power in them, the servers get updated. So there's many more thousands of jobs that come in and update all the new technology every 4 years. And then you have all the surrounding economic activity, the restaurants, the hotels, the truck drivers. So these are economic engines for growth, but we've got to have adequate power to support them and support the grid more broadly.
So it's fair to say that the Green New Deal, which the radical left advocates, just would not be physically capable of delivering the amount of energy necessary to power these data centers.
Not even close. Not even close. We need fossil fuels. We need natural gas. Frankly, we need nuclear. which, our nuclear industry has been more or less shut down of new capacity for 30 years. We need to unlock that with all sorts of investment in nuclear power. And listen, I'm a guy who says all the above. I'm in favor of solar or wind or whatever there is, as long as it's economical. In other words, it's not dependent on government subsidies. Whatever the market will bear, we should get that energy infrastructure. The problem with solar and wind in the Green New Deal, not only were they subsidized, so that helped drive up inflation, but the problem with them is it's intermittent power. It depends on a certain, wind or certain sun situation for the solar. So these data centers have to have base load power. They have to have consistent power they can depend on. So intermittent power like wind or solar can contribute to the grid, but it's not adequate to meet the needs. Frankly, it's not adequate to meet the needs absent the data centers, but it's certainly not adequate to meet the needs with the data center. So we need a lot more energy capacity, and fossil fuels are going to be a big part of it. And by the way, those fossil fuels, particularly natural gas, is extremely clean. It's part of the reason our carbon emissions are going down so much is natural gas is so much cleaner. And then nuclear power is going to be a huge part of the future. Believe it or not, Eric, nuclear power comprises 30% of the electricity in Pennsylvania today. And that number we hope will rise in the years ahead.
That's even with the fracking that's legal in Pennsylvania, but not in New York. That's
right.
That's pretty remarkable. So I think we can all agree on what the upside is to AI. It helps us with the military. It helps us with medical research. Well, some people would argue it helps us because, as you point out, it could eliminate the need for lawyers. You were talking about some white collar folks, so I think some people would say that's an upside.
I didn't want to say lawyers because I know you're a lawyer, yeah. But you get the point.
You didn't have to tell anyone, but it's okay.
What are you going to do about all the judges, retired judges?
Talk about artificial intelligence, but in any event. But there are also some downsides. If we learn nothing from the internet, we learn that as wonderful as having all that power in our hands to be able to do research and learn things so quickly, there are also dangers that are associated with that. And that's going to, seems to me, it's also going to have a very serious problem with AI in that regard, whether it's developing chemical weapons, whether it's developing malign software that can invade computers and hacking. We know we've read about young people tragically who have killed themselves because they've created an AI companion who's betrayed them in some way. So how do we safeguard, or how do we protect the American people from the malign effects of AI?
Yeah, you've zeroed in on just a really important question. There's, of course, the disruptive things I talked about with job loss and energy prices and so forth, but you're talking about something that's in many ways much more insidious and risky. And it's essentially how we have a set of ethical guidelines. I think those should be driven at the federal, not at the state level, because you want to create a regulatory framework, an ethical set of guidelines that, on one hand, create the right guardrails for the use of the technology, but on the other hand, don't stall innovation. And if California has a different standard than New York than Pennsylvania, we're going to lose the ability of national progress and innovation in AI. But at the same time, I just listened to Jonathan Haidt on a podcast the other day on Honestly with Barry Weiss. If you haven't listened to it, it's worthwhile. But what social media has done to our children in terms of mental health and instability and all sorts of things when they take it on an early age, that risk is multiplied, compounded many times over with AI because it's so incredibly powerful. So I think there needs to be some regulation around the deployment of AI, around how the models are construed, the degree to which the models can drive a certain ideology. And I also believe there needs to be a set of self-governing steps taken by the AI hyperscalers and others to make sure that AI doesn't disrupt our society. It needs to be done in concert with the government and the private sector and the research community. I think it's one of the big unanswered questions right now about how this progresses. And, I think we're probably right in these early days to lean against being overly regulated. But I think as the technology matures, we're going to have to get in front of that. And frankly, we didn't with social media. And I think that's caused us a lot of societal problems.
Senator, I have to cut off Eric's line of inquiry. It was fascinating.
It was too intelligent. It was too intelligent.
It was
for
over.
him.
Dealing with my own intellectual problems here. I have to do the best I can. Having the best I can, I will now turn you over to Chairman Garcia of the Republican Party, who has some questions for you.
Great.
Senator, thank you again. And let me just begin by first thanking you for your service. I mean, not only I see you're a West Point graduate and also served in 82nd Airborne. So I want to thank you for your service. And it's always wonderful to see more veterans serving in our government. And in between these two sessions of AI, and I think that the anchor of our show, Judge Weinberg, will ask you about foreign policy. I look at politics and relationships, and you have engaged in a relationship in the U.S. Senate that's unique. And for those of us who are about my age or the age of everyone in this room remembers The Odd Couple. That's the relationship and the partnership you have established with Senator Fetterman, who is, I think, they're 2 years longer than you right now, from Pennsylvania. I mean, you two were diametrically opposed on everything, but in a very polarized Congress and in the Senate, you seem to have come together on common issues, certainly when it comes to Pennsylvania, which is what the people of Pennsylvania sent you to do there on their behalf, regardless of party labels, but also in terms of national issues that are important to everyone, all of our Americans throughout the country. Tell our listeners who would be interested on the backstory about how that relationship came to be, how it has grown, and who's Felix and who's Oscar in this relationship.
Well, I'm not too old to remember that series myself, but listen, first of all, my wife used to give me such a hard time about how I would dress. She no longer gives me much of trouble. I can usually wear whatever I want now that I'm hanging out with Fetterman. And this is a guy who campaigned against me with Bob Casey.
Yes.
And so I didn't know him. We sat down soon after I won the election, and he was just refreshingly honest. He said, listen, I don't have much taste for the nastiness of politics these days. He goes, we disagree on so many things, which we do, but let's try to find a way to work together. And that began a partnership and a real friendship between the two of us. We disagree on more than we agree on, but I respect him. I admire him and I trust him. And we agree to work whenever we can on behalf of Pennsylvania. And, we got to know each other early on. The four of us, my wife and his wife and I, went out to dinner in Pittsburgh. And, the people were lined up around the restaurant to get a selfie with John Fetterman. And he got through about the fourth or fifth selfie. And he kind of sheepishly looked over and he said, hey guys, he's a senator too. I think he was worried. I wasn't getting any attention. And then, it just progressed. And, as you probably noted, because of his strong stance on Israel, and he and I are lockstep on fighting against anti-Semitism and supporting Israel, he just started getting attacked by his party, questioning his cognitive abilities and so forth. And nobody was defending him. And I sent him a text message and I said, hey, nobody's defending you. I don't want to hurt you, but would you like me to come out and support you and defend you? And he said, listen, nobody else is. Please do. And so I came out very publicly and defended him. And then some other Republicans came out, and then some Democrats came out. And it's just through these things together that I think we forged a very trusting partnership and a real friendship.
Well, Senator,
that's fantastic.
Well, if I could just let me just say real quick, as a member of the American Jewish community, I want to just give a huge shout out to John Fetterman. He is a profile in courage. He truly is.
Yeah,
I think it's
there's no doubt about it. I
have to tell you, Senator, as somebody who was totally against Fetterman, and even though Eric will deny it, and Jesse Garcia will back me up on it. I am the House Democrat.
More importantly, your wife will deny it.
My wife denies it, but I'm the last of the common sense Democrats. Former Governor Dave Patterson and I are the last two that I know. We do a head count to make sure we're both around. But I have to tell you something. I was against Fetterman. I thought it was absolutely irresponsible of the Democratic Party to push him forward. I didn't think he was capable. I thought he was just a front for other people behind the scenes manipulating him. And I have to tell you something. I think he's turned out to be one of the great surprises, a very pleasant surprise in the United States Senate and as a national leader. And I think that what Jesse Garcia has just articulated, that political marriage between the two of you of common sense, decent people who love America, who care about doing the right thing, that have moral compasses, who understand that if we don't have common sense leadership and move to work together, this country's in trouble. And as you know, given your military background and being on the Foreign Relations Committee, you know that our outside enemies want to divide us. We have internal enemies who want to divide us. And you and Senator Fetterman are the best of America. I'm not going to have a chance to talk to you because I'm getting a hard call from the control room. Of course, Jesse and Eric and I would love to have you back at your convenience to talk about a myriad of issues, foreign policy amongst others.
I'd love to join you again. I'd be honored to do it. And thank you guys for having me and for those nice words. And thank you for what you're doing. Getting these issues out in front of everybody is really critical. So thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
Senator.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Have a good day.
Take care.
This is Let the Record Show. We've just been with Senator Dave McCormick of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, a graduate of West Point, PhD from Princeton, served in the 82nd Airborne, won the Bronze Star, a great business leader, a lovely man, and a great supporter of common sense governance and politics. So we were thrilled to have him on the show. This is Let the Record Show. We're going to be taking a short break. We'll be back in about a few moments with more important and interesting conversation with Chairman Jesse Garcia, Eric Levine, and myself. Please stay with us.
This shrimp and coconut sauce is divine. What's your secret?
Goya coconut milk.
How does it taste so good?
It's all in that real coconut flavor and that rich, creamy texture.
What about thickeners and added sugars?
None. Just smooth, coconutty goodness.
What can I make with it?
From curries to sweet treats like coconut flan, the possibilities are endless.
Goya coconut milk. Take your cooking to the next level. No question about it. Find it in the Goya section of your local grocery store. If it's Goya, it has to be good.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Introducing Meta Ray-Ban Display, the world's most advanced AI glasses. With a full color display built into the lens of the glasses, it's there when you need it and gone when you don't. Send and receive messages, translate or caption live conversations, collaborate with Meta AI, and more. Be one of the first to try Meta Ray-Ban Display. Visit meta.com/Meta Ray-Ban Display to book a demo and find your pair.
This is Jason Momoa, and I'll be your finance professor today. Welcome to Banking Smarter 101 with Chime. Bam! First lesson, sign up for Chime and set up direct deposit. You'll be joining millions of members banking fee-free. Second lesson, get cash back on eligible purchases while building credit and a higher APY on your savings. That's how you bank smarter this season. Fa-la-la-la-la, class dismissed. Join Chime today.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services and a secure Chime Visa credit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Optional services and products may have fees or charges. Details at chime.com/feesinfo. With a qualifying direct deposit, earn 1.5% cash back on eligible secure Chime Visa credit card purchases. On-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Results may vary. APY means annual percentage yield. Learn about credit building and more at chime.com.
Let the Record Show with Judge Richard Weinberg, Suffolk County Republican Committee Chairman Jesse Garcia, and essayist and commentator Eric Levine on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to Let the Record Show with Chairman Jesse Garcia of the Republican Party. Jesse is the Vice Chair of the New York State Republican Party and the County Chair of the Suffolk County Republican Party. With us is our good friend, co-host, Eric Levine, noted attorney, commentator, and essayist. I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. I wanted to raise an issue with you gentlemen that's deeply troubling to me, and that's the whole national security threat that was created by the Biden administration with their unvetted illegal migration and granting refugee status to people from Afghanistan, for example, who were not truly vetted in any meaningful way. And now we see the tragedies of violence in our country because of that. Related to that is what the scandal that's now being exposed. They were talking about it before. People like John Solomon were talking about it earlier. People from the Manhattan Institute were talking about it, but it really was hidden. You have a whole community in Minneapolis, which is controlled by 80,000 refugees from Somalia. And what you have here is a situation where they weren't vetted, they were just let in. And it raises a real question. What kind of people are we letting into our country? This is not about racism or anti-Muslimism. This is about the question, are we letting people in who do not share our values, the respect for our constitutional system, the rule of law, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, freedom of opportunity? Are we letting in people who really are backward people, some of whom go back to the 5th century in terms of their cultures and their values? And how do you expect to integrate them when you just bring them over here, throw them into city streets, and leave them to their own devices? Obviously, you're going to have problems. And we're seeing the violence occur, and we're seeing the corruption in Minneapolis occur. They're talking about $1 billion. Actually, the number is higher than $1 billion. It's evolving. Chris Rufo from the Manhattan Institute was talking about that. The numbers are going to get higher and higher. And it's not just the money that was stolen during COVID, and that these were organized conspiracies that were covered up by the larger community. But it also has to do with other issues, other welfare benefits people get, food stamps, medical care. These are serious issues. And Walz, the would-be vice president of the United States, has totally proven himself to be wholly incompetent, if not corrupt. There were people who gave the state government heads up that this was going on, and they were shut down. And not only were they shut down, but they were persecuted. The whistleblowers were persecuted for revealing the truth of this. And I submit to you that, number one, when you let people into the country and you're taking them from places where you don't have the intelligence, the resources to find out who they really are, they don't have records keeping, or you have people coming in from hostile nations and they're not going to cooperate with you, and the record keeping is really limited in terms of who they are, and they could be corruptly paid off to clean up the records. But this is the real issue. What is vetting? Vetting tells you very, very little. They did very little of it, and even in the best vetting as it works now, it doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just borrow somebody else's idea, an article I read in the National Review, which is saying we better damn well start thinking about cultural vetting. What is cultural vetting? Cultural vetting is trying to bring in people who have our common shared values and whose desire is to come into this country, contribute, to be assimilated into our culture, not for us to submit to their cultures and have tribalism in the United States of America with all their backward ways. I mean, do we really want to have people in here who believe in honor killings? So you drown your daughter because she's going out with a Westerner who doesn't abide by the religious practices that you dictate in your family? Is that what we really want to have? We really want to have people who are Islamists, who believe in the domination and the hegemony of one particular religion to the exclusion of all others? I don't think so. So that's not racism. That's not being Islamophobic. That's common sense. Do we want to protect and defend the culture of the United States, or do we want to let it be taken over? You look at what happened in Europe. It's happening on a daily basis. They are losing Europe. Eric, your thoughts?
So I think it was Ronald Reagan who made the observation that You can move from a third world country to France and become a citizen, but you won't be French. You can move from a third world country, go to England, become a citizen, but you're not English. But if you come to the United States from a third world country and you become a citizen, the idea is that you become American, that you become part of the culture. That's one of the biggest differences between the United States and any other country in the world. When my grandparents came here in the early 20th century from Russia to escape the Tsar and or the Soviet Union, depending upon which year they came here to be Americans and to practice their religion freely, not impose themselves on others, but to take advantage of the opportunities that America presented. And 2 generations later, my parents and then myself, and then, of course, my own children, so 3 generations later, their wisdom has been borne out. Their foresight of coming to America has been vindicated. Now, that's a big difference between someone, and as you point out, Richard, who comes to this country not to become an American or who comes here to become a citizen, but not to become an American, but to change America and bend America to their will, and then cry racist, xenophobe if they don't get their way. I think that's the fundamental difference. And it's not Islamophobia at all, because there are plenty of Muslim countries that people emigrate from to the United States, and they're welcome. It's coming from countries, third world countries, that have no history of civil order in the way that we have it here in the United States, and are not interested in learning the civil order when they come here to the United States. Europe is the perfect example, Richard. You hit it right on the head. You have countries in Europe that are now 30% or more Muslim, and they're becoming less and less European and more Middle Eastern, less and less Western and more Eastern in their orientation. And that's bad for America. It's bad for Western civilization, which is based on the Judeo-Christian ethic. And if we've learned nothing from history, and apparently, unfortunately, there's a huge percentage of Americans who have learned nothing from history, America is an exceptional nation. The world without America, as the exceptional nation, as the safeguard of Western civilization, is a very, very bad place. And there are countries like China and Iran and Russia and North Korea that are affirmatively working to undermine Western civilization and the American-led world order. And part and parcel of that is the internet and what our kids see on TikTok, and also in immigration. And it is unhelpful when we have people like Ilhan Omar, who talk down the United States, who basically are here but hate the country.
Even though she's a member of the Congress, and she made herself $30 million while she was here. How did she do that?
Yeah, of course, it's great. And then you have people like, Governor Walz, who looks the other way. He's completely aware that this is going on, but looks the other way because he wants some votes and is afraid he'll be called a bigot if he tamps it down.
And he needs the support politically of that community.
Yeah. So we need if the United States stands for nothing, it stands for a rule of law, and the law has to be applied equally. And the message has to go out to people that are coming to the United States if they want to become citizens. Don't just come here to become citizens. Come here to be Americans. And if you're going to be Americans, it's to take advantage of the opportunities that we have. Maintain your identity. Maintain your individualism. But you are part of a greater whole. Don't come here expecting that we're going to bow down and kowtow to you simply because you came here and you claim you're part of some oppressed minority group. That's not how it works.
Jesse, your thoughts?
I agree with both you gentlemen in this case. And, Eric's family and my family share a very similar history. My father defected from Cuba, and he came here, and he did it the right way. He learned English. He learned the system. He did the testing, and he went through the vetting to become a nationalized citizen. We've seen that throughout history of America. We are a melting pot, from Ellis Island and so forth. Culture, the people bring the best of their people, and they bring it and they make it as part of our whole. But part of that is we're supposed to integrate into the American culture, not expect this nation to be assimilated into their cultures. That is completely not what we signed on for. And it's a direct result And we've been speaking about this for several months, if not more than a year. We'll probably speak about it a little bit in the next segment. But it's a direct result of the unvetting of the illegal migrants that were allowed to come in here, to the tune of some cases of 21 million of those individuals that are many of them criminals, and those have mental health and such, that allowed for human trafficking and cartels to use that to allow their fentanyl and drugs to come through. But to speak specifically about this issue, it's a problem where now, I think let's just look at the Minnesota situation where federal dollars and state dollars, welfare dollars in Minnesota were used and corrupted. 78 individuals have been arrested, 50 convicted. They've created food pantries and autism centers to receive the welfare dollars and COVID dollars. How could this go on? We have to ask the question, where were the controls? But the true question is, who knew what when, and when did they know it? That's the problem that we have to face here, because as Speaker Johnson, who is a great leader in our nation, he's even questioned and has said that Minnesota welfare funds have been funneled to Al-Shabaab, which is an ISIS-aligned terror group. This is a national security issue. This goes beyond just domestic corruption and the corruption of dollars. This is still 12 months later, the repercussions of 4 years of insane and ill-fated and bad immigration policy under the Democrats and the Biden administration. And then you have to even hop over to the time of Obama's tenure and his 8 years in office. This is a huge problem that, unfortunately, it took us 4 or 5 years, 6 years to get into. It's going to take us even longer. But fortunately, it seems that right now, at least for the next 3 years and change, that we have an administration, President Trump's administration, that is right aligned to root out these corruptions and take the steps necessary. Sometimes not popular. Sometimes he may use language that offends people. Sometimes he uses language that maybe people think but won't say because they don't want to be canceled. But still, it does not mean it's not right and just that we have to protect our American Western society here in our country and our people that have come here and lived here and our citizens.
Well, that's a very good point. And your reference to the funding of terrorist groups, this is not just about the dollars, as bad as that is. It's not just about a community that either was engaged in systemic corruption or backed by a populace that looked the other way. It's not just about the Democrats like Walz and the other politicians, including the Attorney General of Minnesota, looking the other way and maybe even harassing whistleblowers. This is about, where did those dollars go? Those dollars came back in the form of terrorist attacks against American and Western civilization interests all across the globe. This is very serious business. What concerns me, Jesse and Eric, is as follows. Next year, the midterm elections. And midterm elections have real consequences, to play with the language of Mr. Obama. And the consequence of not having the Republicans in control of both the House and the Senate is absolutely enormous, because in the year that President Trump has been back, he's reestablishing our borders, he's reestablishing national security, he's reestablishing world leadership, he's taking on Islamist terrorism wherever he finds it, he's taking on the cartels and the gangs, he's trying to address the problem of crime in the cities that are lost because of the woke policies of the Democrats. He's doing all these things. Some things he's done by executive orders. Some he's done just by his inherited executive authority under the Constitution. The problem is, and this is the real problem, if it's not codified into law and you lose the House or the Senate next year, so the codification has to come now, large numbers of these policies are going to fall by the wayside. And then before you blink twice, you're going to have a presidential election in 28. So the changes for the good that Trump has brought forward to protect and defend this country from foreign and domestic enemies is enormous. But the fact is that it can be merely just another footnote in history if you come back with leadership like Carter's and Obama's and Biden's, which are weak-kneed, intellectually deficient, without a moral compass. And I'm very troubled by that, and people better start paying attention, which includes, by the way, my two Republican friends, Chairman Garcia and Eric Levine. The Republican Party has got to get ready to fight the fight to protect and defend this country. And the first thing they have to do is they have to reelect a majority in the United States Senate, the United States House of Representatives. Otherwise, this country's in trouble. And Donald Trump will be a lame duck surrounded by investigations, harassment, and possible impeachment applications. And this is dangerous. This is Let the Record Show with Chairman Garcia, noted attorney, commentator, and essayist Eric Levine. I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. Please stay with us. We'll be back in about a few moments with our final segment of this week's show. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Say hello to the all-new Alexa Plus and see how Alexa can do so much more for you. Need tickets to see your favorite artist? Craving your comfort restaurant? Just sit back, relax, and talk naturally. Alexa's on it. It learns your style, anticipates what's next, and makes it happen across Echo, Fire TV, and more. Learn more at amazon.com/new Alexa.
This episode is brought to you by Blink. Doom scrolling during this ad break? Ditch the doom and get peace of mind with new Blink 2K Plus Smart Security. Check on home from your phone with 2K Clarity, noise cancellation, and 4x Zoom. Plus, setup is so simple you can easily install while listening to your favorite podcast. True crime girlies, we got you. Get more, spend less with Blink 2K Plus Smart Security.
From writer-director Rian Johnson. The Holy Grail. A perfectly impossible crime. Wake Up Dead Man has critics singing its praises.
God help me. Anything else?
It's a deliciously entertaining mystery.
That's nice.
It's certified fresh.
It's a miracle!
Okay, you're freaking me out now.
It's the best Knives Out movie yet.
This case is solvable, right?
Oh, you'll see. It's fun. Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery starring Daniel Craig. Now playing in select theaters on Netflix December 12th. Rated PG-13.
Everyone wants the Emirates NBA Cup.
And things are heating up.
30 teams started. Bang! But only 8 have advanced to the single elimination knockout rounds. To survive, they'll have to be hungry, relentless, ruthless.
Are you kidding me?
They all want the cup, but only one team can claim it. Who will capture the cup? Emirates NBA Cup knockout rounds begin December 9th on Prime.
Let the Record Show with Judge Richard Weinberg, Suffolk County Republican Committee Chairman Jesse Garcia, and essayist and commentator Eric Levine on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to Let the Record Show with Chairman Jesse Garcia of the Republican Party. Jesse is the Vice Chair of the New York State Republican Party and the County Chair of the Suffolk County Party. With us is our good friend, co-host, noted attorney, commentator, and essayist Eric Levine. I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. So, Jesse, I want to switch gears, and I want to talk about Venezuela. And everybody's talking about Venezuela these days. There are a couple of issues involved, and I want you to take the lead on this. One issue is the very existence of Venezuela as a cartel state, a state that either runs the cartels or is controlled by the cartels. I don't have the wisdom to tell you what that relationship is. Maybe it's a symbiotic relationship and they take turns who the dominant force is. But there's no doubt there's a real economic and political social alliance between the drug cartels and the Maduro government. And that's a real problem because what you have in our hemisphere, in the Western Hemisphere, in violation of the Monroe Doctrine, placement of foreign players like Iran and Russia and China. So that's very troubling. Related to that is you had 6 members of Congress, 2 senators, 4 House members, telling military people that they should disobey and not comply with so-called unlawful orders of the commander-in-chief and the chain.
Without being able to identify any.
Well, exactly. And then related to that is all of a sudden they're attacking the Secretary of War, Hegseth, and the President for blowing up these Venezuelan cartel ships that somehow they're claiming, wrongfully, in my humble opinion, wrongfully, that these are illegal war crimes. I mean, it's ridiculous. Jesse, you're the expert on Latin America. What are your thoughts?
Is that because I'm a Puerto Rican? I'm Cuban and Puerto Rican.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Hey, listen, what good is stereotyping unless you use it?
I was going to say, oh my goodness, that's going to say they all look alike. My goodness.
I know.
Well, I'm going to turn the Eastern European guy over on something else in a couple of minutes. Go ahead.
Well, being an American first, and this is what I did in the Suffolk County Republican Committee and other committees have done, as we reminded everyone that we're Americans first. And we reminded those 6 Democrat members of Congress in the Senate that were doing these TikTok videos and basically saying to the military to sow the confusion when it comes to giving orders. But first, in terms of Venezuela, Venezuela, this is as a result of 4 years, and it almost sounds repetitive, but because there was so much of a vacuum of leadership, whether it be in the Middle East, here in the Western Hemisphere, or domestically in our country under the Biden administration, that there are threats everywhere here. There is, Venezuela is not just a dictatorship. It is a criminal enterprise, and it is a criminal threat to the United States. This escalation to counter narcotics is something that needs to be done. I don't understand Americans or these elected officials that think it's wrong for us to go after these cartels, to go after these narco terrorists in their boats that bring poison and death within our shores. I mean, we can't go back to just say no, but this is a way of going back to just say no under the Reagan administration's drug policy with a lot of muscle. That's the best way that I can basically see that here. And as we go forward, these past policies are what really have allowed other bad actors internationally, and again, in our hemisphere, become greedy with power and greed with just actual dollars and cents here. It's an amazing situation that's going here. I wholeheartedly support what Secretary of War Hegseth, the Department of War, is doing, what President Trump is doing. He is restoring, in many ways, the Monroe Doctrine to this hemisphere. And he's doing it by ensuring that we surround and place pressure. The only way you take a strong man down is by going into that schoolyard, facing that bully face to face, and letting him know that you mess with us, you're going to go down. And that's exactly what the Trump administration is doing. I mean, with passports, borders, no controls, the smuggling is reached levels that is almost tough or difficult to reach. And it's really becoming a problem both in the security of the United States and the security of allies in that area. You can't have China, Iran, or Russia have a footprint or some type of any type of foundation in that area. And I think that this is a multi-pronged approach to a problem that has impacts that are like an octopus with 8 or 9 different possibilities of hurting the United States, both economically, domestically, and from a national security point of view.
Yeah, so I agree with both of you. I think we should take a step back. I support overthrowing Maduro. I support it. I support blowing these drug traffickers out of the water. This notion that they're fishermen. What fish boat, goes 60 miles an hour? There's no doubt that they're smuggling narcotics. But I think the Trump administration is doing itself an injustice. It has such a strong case to make about why they're doing this that I really think they should go to the American people and go to Congress and explain their actions. And I think they'll get tremendous amount of support in Congress and amongst Americans.
Will they get it from Democrats?
Well, let's put it this way: if the Democrats are,
get that from Democrats
I think you'll get. I think you will get a lot of Democrats. I think you will get a lot of Democrats. But let the Democrats make the case it's okay for cocaine to come running into our country. Let them. That's why I think we need to be. That's why I think President Trump should make the case. We're dealing with drug traffickers. I think it's a mistake to be talking about fentanyl when you're talking about Venezuela, because the fentanyl comes out of China and Mexico. Let's keep it on cocaine. It's serious. It's serious enough.
True.
So let's be precise. But I think we should also. There are also a lot of other cases to make. The first is Maduro is not the internationally recognized leader of Venezuela. He stole the election. Right. Even the UN Even the UN gets this one right. They don't recognize Maduro as the leader of Venezuela. And also remember, in March of 2020, Maduro was indicted as a narco-terrorist by the DOJ as being the head of the cartels of the Suns. The guy is a narco-terrorist. We've already spoken about Cuba's role in Venezuela, and we talk about he also threatens other countries. He's talking about invading Guyana to steal their oil, so to make Venezuela even that much more powerful. He's destabilizing in Colombia and throughout South America. Hezbollah and Iran are there. I mean, when we talk about the Monroe Doctrine, let's remember the concept of the Monroe Doctrine is no foreign country from outside the Western Hemisphere can come into the Western Hemisphere. Originally, it was directed at Spain, France, and England. But China and Russia and Iran, last time I checked the globe, are not in the Western Hemisphere, but they have very strong footprints here. And if we keep in mind that the American-led world order is most threatened by this new axis of evil of China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, Venezuela is part of that axis. It's a sub-actor, but it's very much aligned and an ally of that axis. If we take out Maduro and we put in place a duly elected president of Venezuela that's pro-American, that strengthens America and weakens that axis. We need to push Russia and China and Iran out of our hemisphere. And then after we take care of Maduro, it's perfectly legitimate to start turning our eyes to Cuba. It's about time that regime also is brought to heel for all the harm that it's done to the hemisphere. But coming back to my original point, President Trump has an incredibly strong hand to play. And I think he's making a terrible mistake politically by not going to the American people and to Congress and making the point, explaining why he's doing what he's doing, and then with the full support of the American people and Congress, remove Maduro.
Jesse, your thoughts?
I agree. I think Maduro needs to go. I think that everything needs to be, all things need to be taken there. You're right, Eric, in terms of, let the Democrats be the ones that are for cocaine and such, if they're going to vote against this measure. I think the issue here is that you have a president that perhaps is focused more on results than he is about political points. And that's crazy to say about any politician, but I think
But he's not your usual politician.
Yeah, but process matters here. The way the United States works, process matters.
But I do believe that here he's utilizing his tools available to him under the Constitution. Should he go to Congress? Perhaps maybe he should, as a benefit for him more politically than anything else, because he is gaining the results he needs to have right now in the actions he has taken. I think the American people I know the American people are behind him. What you're having, though, is that, seriously, what I was saying, and I should have interrupted you, is you have an entire party, an entire segment of an elitist party, the Democratic Party, that is suffering of Trump derangement syndrome. It does not matter. If you want to do something that's right, it's still wrong. They will stop it. They will bottle it up, because the end game, and here's where I do agree with you, we can use public pressure against the Democrats, is to take, their only concern is to take back the House or take back the Senate so that they can begin to roadblock this agenda, the president's agenda, roadblock any progress over the next 3 years or the last 2 years of his administration, and also just get it into a gridlock of investigation and hearings.
No, that's the danger. That's why I said in the last segment, the Republicans have to pay attention to this. This is a mid-year election. They have to win. I know it's contrary to the historical record where the outside party is going to pick up seats and maybe take control, but I'm desperately concerned that we're going to unravel and not continue the progress that we're making. And so let's just address the points that you and Eric were making. I believe he has a lot of tools, and he's been using them. I believe he's acting lawfully, by the way. And I was talking about this with Professor Alan Dershowitz of the Harvard Law School the other night on the show. He agrees with me, which always makes me feel better when Alan agrees with me. He agrees with me that Trump has acted lawfully. This stuff about war crimes is absolute nonsense. The efforts are totally reasonable, and there's a reasonable rationale and a legal rationale for what's going on. So all this is a sideshow by the Democrats and the left wing to harass and to block Trump. Now, if you go to Congress and you ask for a war powers resolution...
I didn't say ask for it. Just make the case.
Well, let me set that up, Counselor. If you go to Congress and you ask for it, then what you're doing is you're calling into question all the other actions that have been done historically and going forward, because you undermine a precedent that you don't have to go before Congress for an express authorization. So to your point, Eric, I would not, if I were in the White House, I would not encourage him to go to Congress to ask for an authorization. I wouldn't do that. What I might do, though, is I might have a joint session in Congress and address this crisis and use the bully pulpit of the chambers.
I agree with you.
And get the message out. What he hasn't done is a good public relations campaign. What's the problem? What's the proposed solutions? Why do we have to deal with it? Why do we have to deal with now? What's at stake? That's what you have to do when you're a good political leader and you're a good communicator. That's what you have to do. All you have to do is elevate the fireside shots of Franklin Delano Roosevelt to explain to people what's going on. And Reagan was very successful at that too. Get up there, explain what this is all about, explain the crisis, why Maduro has to go, why this is a threat, and let the record be clear on that. But I would not ask for any kind of authorization because I think that undercuts your future actions as well as historical actions. By the way, what do we have, Elias? A couple of minutes? So I just want to share the following anecdote with you two gentlemen. So based on, and I can't tell you whether it's based on the show that I'm privileged and honored to do with Jesse and Eric, Let the Record Show, or my nightly appearances as the unofficial co-host with John Cassidy and Rita Cosby.
Are you an anchor there too?
I'm an anchor wherever I go. My wife has called me an albatross. So what I do is I speak my mind. I speak the truth as I see it, and I try to give you an honest legal read and my best judgment based on what I understand about politics and public policy and my moral compass. So I get a text on Monday, and I get a text from somebody who used to be a City Hall journalist and who's known me for decades and decades from my days at City Hall. And he says to me, he sends me some article from the New York Times. And in the article in the New York Times, I didn't even bother opening it because he opened up the transmission by saying, you, meaning Richard Weinberg, you would have voted for Hitler. That was the opening gambit, that I would have voted for Hitler. Now, what is that based on? Based on a conversation a number of months ago when he phoned me and was ranting and raving, suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. He goes and he says, that how could I back Trump? What's wrong with me? Trump is terrible. He's Hitler. He's the worst thing in the world. How I, as a Jew, could back his plans to close the border. What about the Jews trying to flee Eastern Europe during the Nazis? I try to explain to him there's a different situation, different history parallels, different agenda issues. Was not interested. Comes to the conclusion, since I think that Trump has done a good deal of positive things to protect the national security of this country, that somehow I would have voted for Hitler. So I said to him, I said, well, if you don't want to talk respectfully to me, this is a text exchange, if you want to talk respectfully to me, don't bother communicating with me. He comes back and he does some more Trump derangement system, totally, absolutely obsessed. So I write back, look, you're not talking on the merits, you're not talking dispassionately, don't bother communicating with me. Goodbye and good luck. Now, that's a riff off of Edward R. Murrow, who used to say good night and good luck. So he writes back, how dare I use the words of Edward R. Murrow? How awful. So at lunch the other day, I'm having lunch with some people, and since I'm a technological idiot, I say, how do I get this guy to stop texting me? They said, give me your phone. I hand it over to my lunch colleague, and I will no longer get these texts accusing me, a nice Jewish boy from Brooklyn, of having voted for Hitler or would have voted for Hitler. So let the record show I didn't vote for Hitler. I would never vote for Hitler. I'm against everything Hitler stands for. Donald Trump is not Hitler. If you disagree with Trump, disagree with him on the merits. He is not Hitler. He is not a fascist. I am not a fascist. All we're trying to do is to protect and defend the America that we love against our enemies, foreign and domestic. And on that note, let the record show that this has been with Chairman Garcia, the Republican Party, noted attorney, commentator, essayist Eric Levine, and I am the anchor, Judge Richard Weinberg, saying God bless America, God bless you and your families, and we look forward to being with you again next week on Let the Record Show. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening to Let the Record Show with Judge Weinberg, Chairman Jesse Garcia, and Eric Levine. You can hear Let the Record Show Sunday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Wishing you a very happy half-off holiday, because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day, yeah? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.